Hello, my name is Stephen Truxell, and I am Professor of Air and Space Law and Director of the International Institute of Air and Space Law here at Leiden University in the Netherlands. And I want to talk to you today about our Master of Laws, or LL.M, in Advanced Studies in Air and Space Law. First off, why would you want to do this program? Well, ask me. Air and space law is the most exciting field in the world. Well, it is certainly an exciting field, and there are lots of daily challenges that we're facing which require, quite often, legal solutions. We're based here at Leiden at the Institute, and we have a number of expert instructors, both people who are working at the university as well as guest speakers working in industry or with governments or international organizations. And because of all of that, we have quite an excellent reputation. We have a number of networking opportunities, both with those guest speakers who come. We have 50 or 60 guest speakers each year which come and speak to students. And so some of them are alumni, but we have also a number of alumni activities. And we also organize conferences here in Leiden. And we're very close to a number of important organizations like Airbus Defence and Space, which is based here in Leiden, not to mention KLM Royal Dutch Airlines down the road and Schiphol Airport. We have three different modes of study for the program. We have a face-to-face mode, which is spread over 1 year, face-to-face, physically here in Leiden. We have a second mode of delivery, which is 2 years, called blended learning. I'll say more about that in a minute. And also a 2-year part-time program, face-to-face. We also have a very strong professional dimension. So we require moot court. We require that students complete an internship. We have a number of visits to relevant organizations and also take excursions, like, for instance, each year to Brussels. So the content, the courses on the face-to-face and blended learning program are the same. We have for air law 3 courses shown on the screen here, and for space law we have 2, plus the last one on the screen, finance and procurement of aerospace activities. As you can read the last 2 words, this covers all sorts of aerospace activities, so air and space and everything in between. We also have a strong practice element, so students completing the face-to-face program, either full-time or part-time, must participate in a moot court, either an international moot court competition like the one that we organize, the International Air Law Moot Court Competition, which takes place in a different city in the world each year, or the Manfred Lachs Space Law Moot Court Competition, which is another international competition. And in addition to those 2, we have 2 internal moot courts, one for air law and one for space law. Students completing the face-to-face program must complete an internship. This must be for a minimum of 6 weeks, and that internship requirement is that students complete or work on air or space law subjects. Students find the internships themselves, but we have a vast network of contacts so we can connect students with potential internship providers. For the blended learning students who are not based here physically in Leiden, but rather come to Leiden a few times a year and complete the rest of the program online, for those students we have, replacing the moot court and internship, what is called a practicum. All students completing the LL.M must do a master's thesis. The structure of the program is as follows. We have courses which are structured into weekly thematic modules. So it's required that you come to class prepared, that you have done your pre-reading, and you have also watched what we call knowledge clips to get an introduction to the subject matter before coming into the classroom. So for face-to-face students, we have very small seminar-style classes. We tend to cap the number of students at 25. We require active participation, and we also get active participation. The students on the face-to-face program and the blended learning program are absolutely passionate about air and space law, and so they're keen to engage. We have in-depth sessions, case studies, panel discussions, and so on, and assessment. We have a wide range of assessments to practice different types of skills, presentations, writing, of course, and also simulations. For the blended learning students, this is a requirement that you come to Leiden 2 or 3 times over the 2-year blended learning mode of delivery, so over the program. And the assessment is done completely online by way of assignments, papers, and of course the thesis at the very end. So a little about the environment. So it's quite an international environment. The current students that we have this year, we have 25 students from 14 different countries, so 14 nationalities and 25 students. So it's quite a diverse group, as you can hear. We have very small-scale intensive classes. I talked about the expert instructors. We have a lot of social activities and a real community, and a lot of individual attention is given to students. And as part of that, you feel very much, and you are very much a part of the family of this institute when you graduate. And these relationships, these friendships go on forever. We hear stories of students after graduating attending each other's weddings and things. So it's quite a tight-knit community that is created here in Leiden. There are a number of practical experiences, and of course, as I mentioned, when graduating from the program, you become part of our global network of International Institute of Air and Space Law alumni and, of course, our friends. So how do you apply? Well, there's step-by-step guidance on the website. You will see the entry requirements, which I'll talk about in a minute, the deadlines, and also the tuition fees. And if you at any time have any questions, please do contact our program coordinator. The email address is really simple to remember, airanspace@law.leidenuniv.nl. So firstly, about the entry requirements. What is required to get onto this advanced studies program? So it's not a regular LLM, it's an advanced studies LLM. First of all, you must have a full degree which gives you access to the legal profession in your country. So whatever degree is required in order to enter the legal profession, you must have that. As a top-line requirement, but there are some exceptions to that if you have studied in a related discipline, let's say international relations or politics, and you have completed a sufficient number of law courses during your studies, and also that you have professional experience. In terms of language requirements, if English is not your native language, then we require an IELTS overall score of 7.0, TOEFL 100. You can see on the screen what's required there for language. The program-specific requirements, well, as I mentioned before, you must have a keen interest in air and or space law. If you don't have a passion for air and or space law, you won't, quite frankly, fit in the group, and you won't enjoy the program as much as we want you to. And the way that we see that keen interest is through your letter of motivation. Why are you motivated to apply to this program? What draws you to us, and what do you hope to achieve when you complete, hopefully, successfully the program? We also require some evidence of your relevant work experience and or extracurricular activities. So have you already engaged in maybe attending conferences or workshops, or have you had an internship already working for an airline or a space agency? And finally, 2 letters of recommendation. And we recommend that you have one letter from an academic referee and the other from a professional referee if that's available to you. For the blended learning, this program is really designed for working professionals. So those who are already have a career in air and or space or in another sector and are looking to move forward in their career or advance. And so work experience is required for the blended learning program. Mode of study. We look at the full profile of each applicant, so we consider applications on a case-by-case basis, and you can always start your application online and then submit your diplomas and other documents at a later stage. So there's a 2-step online application system. So first of all, you need to register for StudyLink. That's a national level thing. And then the Leiden University's application system, which is called USIS. And those 2 names will become very familiar to you if and when you apply. And there are different application deadlines for it's connected to whether you need a visa or residence permit to enter and or live in the Netherlands. In other words, whether you're an EU, European Union national or not. So if you require a visa or a residence permit, then for the September intake, I forgot to mention that, we have 2 intakes per year. We have a September intake and a February intake. And so for the September intake, you must apply by 1st of April of that year. And if it's for the February intake, then the 15th of October the year before. And if you don't require a visa or residence permit, 15th of May or 15th of November. And the deadline for applying for the visa or residence permit is shown on the screen. Now, it's quite important that you apply early. The login details for USIS may take a few days to receive. And we have 2 different selection rounds, and these are only for students who are applying for the September intake. So we have an early admission. If you apply before the 15th of January, then you will get a decision before the 1st of March. And the reason for that is that because it's earlier in the year, we are able to process them a little bit more quickly. So we'll get you an answer more quickly. And then we have the regular admission, which is shown on the screen. So there is an earlier admission than the green chart on the screen there. Tuition fees and scholarships. So the current tuition fees, and just with an asterisk there, subject to change in future years, for the face-to-face program, it's approximately 19,300 euros per year. And if you do the part-time program, it's 9,650 per year for 2 years. And blended learning, you can see on the screen, 10,200 per year over 2 years. So the blended learning program is slightly more expensive. The living costs, if you do live here in Leiden, are approximately 1,000 euros per month, though that's subject to how you spend your money, I suppose. And scholarships, we have the Leiden University Excellence Scholarship Lexis for September applicants, and the deadline for that is the 1st of February. So again, thinking about the previous slide, if you apply early, if you're really keen to come, apply early, get your answer early, apply for the Lexis scholarship, deadline 1st of February. We also have some industry-specific scholarships. Again, you can contact Aaron Space Law at law.leidenuniv.nl for more information about scholarships, or you can also search grantfinder.nl. So on successful completion of the program, then hopefully you go on to advance your career or begin your career in air and or space. And many of our graduates find positions in law firms or consulting firms, but also in legal departments, whether that be in airports or within airlines or aerospace companies like satellite companies, national civil aviation authorities, ministries of transportation, ministries of foreign affairs, international and national, regional air and space organizations, as well as academia. Perhaps you would like to go on to do a PhD and become a professor one day. Finally, if you have any questions, you've got the email there, but you can in the meantime already follow us on Twitter at Leiden_IIASL or on LinkedIn to see what we're up to, what sort of activities we're involved in, and see what some of the alumni of the program are also doing now in their careers. Thanks very much.